Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to Creation ModCon. I'm still Captain Stu, and if you've just joined us, don't be shy about going back and checking out our majestic Rulers of Tamriel and 12 World panels. You definitely don't want to miss either of those as we caught up with our project leads and level designers respectively. And still to come, we have our Debellas Chosen, our enigmatic art panel, followed like a sneak thief in the dark by our fan art contest, where someone has the opportunity to see their masterpiece get implemented into one of our projects. We then conclude our day one of Creation ModCon with the highly anticipated Skyblivion walkabout, so do please stick around. But before all that, we must endeavour to learn the way of the voice. Let's just hope we don't bump into any frost trolls on the way as we introduce you to our Fruits of the World panelists. Howdy doody voice acting panel. I'm going to get you introduce you one by one. We'll start with Kairos. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name is Kairos, or Ryokar is my real name. Ooh, reveal. I have been. I'm probably the baby of the group here. I've been voice acting with Beyond Skyrim for since the summer of 2020. And I'm in at Mora, Elsewhere, Morrowind, and Cyrodiil at the moment. So yeah.
And Renara.
Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Renara Hawk. I have been voicing for Skywind since 2016, so I'm an old horse in this race a little bit. And I voice mostly Dunmer, female Dunmer in Skywind. But yeah, really happy to be here. I'm so excited.
And Sundown.
Good morning. I am Vio on Morrowind. Been doing this for about 2 years. Living the dream. Happy to be here.
And our hostess with the mostest from our first panel, Trendane. Tell us about yourself.
My name is Trendane. I'm the oldest one among us. Yeah, I was here when it kind of started a little bit, back in like 2014, I think. And mostly in Bruma, but I also do some stuff with Teagra on occasion, and pretty much anywhere else they need me.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, let's not keep these punters warning. And remember, guys, if you've got any questions, don't be afraid to send them in, and we'll try and get them answered for you. So, Renara, we'll start with you today. How did you get started in voice acting, and what do you think you need to get started in voice acting?
Well, I started with simply just a headset mic with my, some headphones and stuff. But what you really need, in my opinion, starting out, is that basically, the voice is the medium, the acting skills are what you're using here. So whilst having gear and getting all the microphones set up is good, but if you want to start voice acting, you need the acting chops. You need to be trained in theatre and just work on being able to translate what the character's feeling through your voice. Because once you've got that down, everything else sort of falls into place. So yeah, I'd rather have passable quality audio with brilliant acting than crystal clear and then sound monotone, or at least I've had that feedback for me before. So I would say if you're starting out, honestly, it's the acting that needs to be the top of your list, seconded only by soundproofing around the place, because if you've got any reverb, that will not help.
Nobody will like said verb. How about you, Tren?
I'm not really much of a gear person, so I can tell you what I have. But, when it comes to people like, oh, what kind of gear should I buy? I'm like, I don't know. It's just, I've got a Rode Procaster that feeds into an ancient Joe Meek VC3, the British version, not the Chinese version. And you can tell it's the British version because some of the knobs actually do go to 11. And that feeds into my Scarlett 2i2, which goes into my computer. And that's what I've been using since like 2009. So it's been a long time that I've been using this. Was there another half to the question? I think. No, I think that was it.
How did you get started?
Oh, in voice acting or with this project?
Voice acting.
Oh, well, basically it kind of started in the late 1990s. I was working on a kids show called Adventures with Kangarati, and they needed someone to do the robot from Lost in Space. And I happened to be walking through the production trailer, and I was like, "Danger, Roy Orbison!" And they were like, "Yeah, that's the voice we want right there." And while I was recording the lines, the director was like, "Have you ever considered doing this for a living? And I was like, no, not really. And then 10 years later, when I was working at Electronic Arts, they were doing placeholder stuff for Dead Space 2. And I got to voice a character, placeholder, for a character that ultimately got removed from the game. But when we were recording the dialogue, when the engineer was giving me my copy of the stuff that we'd recorded so I could use it for my demo reel, he was like, have you ever considered doing this for a living? And I said, yeah, a little bit. And they were like, you should, because you put a lot more into that than most of the people they bring in here. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, all right. And then they laid like 1,800 of us off, and I took my severance check and I bought the gear that I have.
Awesome. And look at you now.
Yeah, mostly narrating audiobooks. Woo!
Woohoo! Kairos, how about you? How did you get started?
I got started actually, funnily enough, via Beyond Skyrim. Basically, I was a big Skyrim fan back in 2015 when a lot of this was kicking off, at least publicly. I got interested in the project, and I was like, I've done funny voices all my life. I'm gonna try this, and so I started, getting into voice acting through that, and mostly doing, your traditional theater acting and a little bit of on-screen acting. So I just kind of continued it from there. Like I said, I've been doing weird voices all my life, so I figured, this works. I can do this. As for the what do I need bit of the question, I am a gear person. I've been, kind of an audiophile all my life, and I really like that kind of stuff. But yeah, like Renara said, it's not the end of the world if you don't have the greatest equipment. I might sound a little funny right now because I've got a bit of an echo in my room. I'm not in my permanent setup at the moment. But mostly having a bit of that sound dampening is important. Having, I would say, don't get a USB mic if you can avoid it. Get a preamp, get an XLR mic. And there's a million different guides on the internet that you can that can help you out with that. So go ahead and look if you're looking for equipment, but otherwise, totally, just work on your voice. Work on sounding like you're a real person talking to another real person, and you'll get there eventually.
Nice one. And Sundown, you've got a bit of a more left field origin story into voice acting, don't you?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of similar to Kairos, I suppose. I do a lot of real life acting as well, like with my actual face and body. But thinking about it this morning, listening to other answers, it sort of reminded me that I actually kind of got started. I would trace it back to RTX 2012 or 2013. I went to a voice actors panel that they were hosting. This is the Rooster Teeth convention that they would host every year. And I got to stand up and ask a question. I was fortunate enough to get called on. And I was really just told that to get started, you just got to get started. And I was like, oh, I mean, yeah, that kind of makes sense. And then I kind of got started, and then that was kind of it. And then I ended up getting onto Beyond Skyrim Morrowind as soon as they dropped that announcement trailer a few years back at the beginning of 2018. I absolutely loved it because I'm a huge fan of Morrowind. And I've kind of been doing it ever since, whether through Beyond Skyrim or for my own personal projects. And I've just continued doing more real life acting, which definitely helps with obviously like portraying emotions and stuff, because a lot of that does shine through. You learn a lot of the voice techniques and the warm ups and the various things that you can portray with your voice when you're actually acting in person. So that's a super valuable skill too. So if you went to theater or something, or you have like a little hobby that you do on the side related to acting, that's definitely going to translate well into portraying with your voice, in my opinion. I think everybody's talking about their equipment. So for mine, I use a Rode NT1 condenser. It's pretty nice. That was recommended by the leads over at the Morrowind remaster. Skywind, I think the name is. I never get it right. I wanted to call it Morrowind, and then I remembered that's just the name of the place. Pretty sure it's Skywind.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Well, same with you, Sundown. That we've seen where you came from, like as a voice actor. What brought you to Skyrim? What brought you to the Elder Scrolls? What was the first thing that appealed to you?
Well, specifically Skyrim was the Beyond Skyrim. Just like Kairos, I saw the the sort of the announcement trailer for Beyond Skyrim Morrowind, and that just made me fall in love. I'd already sort of been doing some small mods on my own accord just to mess around, but yeah, Morrowind is just, it's great. It's poggers, I'll say.
Renara, what brought you to the Elder Scrolls and Skyrim?
Oh yeah, I've been a fan of the Elder Scrolls series since Morrowind. I remember playing the game when it first came out and getting annoyed that I couldn't hit a rat with a goddamn spear. But I have spent my entire life acting. I've done so much of that, and I've always been told that I was never good enough to be an actor by literally anyone who I was trying to work with. So after many years of trying, failing, all that jazz, I kind of just I stumbled onto Skywind's original website, so not the one now, but the really old one that was more like a forum back in the day. And I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to send an audition in. I'm not expecting anything to come out of it. And 5 years later, I am doing Dunmer and quite possibly some Argonian at this point now. So that's how I kind of fell into this in a way.
And same question to you, Kairos.
Yeah, I'm here. Don't worry. Sorry, I was taking a drink as you asked me. Bad timing. Yeah, I think I kind of got on late to the Skyrim train, relatively late. I started playing it around 2015, and I was just totally taken in by all the characters, by the story and the gameplay, all of it really. And it somehow, I honestly can't remember how, I heard about the Beyond Skyrim project, and I thought, wow, this is really cool, and they need voice actors, and I like doing voices, so I'm gonna try it out. And I guess this is sort of transitioning into the next question here, but I really I began to sort of actually put together a little bit of a demo reel, and I started to think about what voices I could do and stuff, doing bad impressions of pretty much any character I could think of, and I tried out for Beyond Skyrim. I don't remember what province, and I was rejected immediately, and I was told to get a better mic. And I at that time had no idea what I was doing. I got a Blue Yeti, and I'm sure many of you know how that would have gone. So fast forward, I guess it would have been 6 years, or no, 5 years, because 2020. I was reminded of Beyond Skyrim, and I was like, you know what? I'm actually, I think, a better voice actor now. I'm going to try this out again. And I got into several provinces, and I was very happy with that. I felt like, oh wow, I've actually made an improvement. I have I came back, I tried again, and it worked. So that's some, advice for everyone. The whole cliche, try again thing. Don't worry if you don't immediately achieve exactly what you were going for. It might happen a little ways down the line. Yeah. Sorry to kind of transition into the next question there.
All right, I don't know how to say this to you as well, Kairos, but it's 2021. You've lost an entire year.
Oh God.
No, I meant I joined in 2020.
All right, because you said 2050 to 20. It's 2020.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh no,
it's 5 years.
You've lost a year.
Yeah. Oh my God. What?
Because we've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty.
Oh God. Not this again.
Before we move on to the next question, Trindade, were you a Elder Scrolls aficionado before you got enrolled in any of the projects?
A little bit. I played Oblivion for a little while. I do not like combat at all. I suffer from massive button panic confusion. As soon as combat starts, I forget every single key binding and I can't do anything. So basically I was okay until I got to my first Oblivion gate, and then I would, after like 15 attempts to just get past the first thing, and I'm like, no, I'm done with this. And I just dusted my hands off and I walked away. But it's not specific to the Elder Scrolls. Every game that I play that has any measure of combat in it, that's the way it goes for me. Minecraft is like that.
Yeah, those Oblivion gates were terrifying the first time.
Yes.
Agreed.
They were pretty highly leveled, as I remember.
Mm-hmm.
So understandable. completely understandable. But obviously, it was like a long time ago, I guess, because I say you've been involved with Bruma. So do you even remember how you were recruited?
Only very, very vaguely, because I'm old and, Alzheimer's runs through my family, so I'm sure it's just disappearing somewhere. But I was working on another project that had somebody from the Beyond Skyrim team was on that project as well. And they had on the other project, they asked me to voice one of the big main anthropomorphic bears in the game. And they were like, you know what? Why don't you come over here and work with us on this thing too? And I was like, all right, sure, whatever. And that was like early to mid 2014.
Sundown, I think you touched upon it a little bit as well, didn't you? I think you and Kairos kind of touched upon how you were recruited. And but is there anything else you can remember about that time being recruited?
Are you asking me that when I was
Yes,
recruited?
yeah,
Okay, sorry. I thought you were still so I can entertain. Well, the process was really easy. I mean, I just kind of sat down and I had a terrible, awful microphone. I'm going to be honest with you, it was the one I was using the other day. And I sat down and I said, if I'm going to try to get on board with a Morrowind mod, I should probably try to do that Dunmer thing, right? And I literally just I listened to a compilation of voice lines from Morrowind, and I emulated about 20 of them. And I sent the clip to the Beyond Skyrim team, just the regular audition process with my awful microphone. I mixed it. I spent like it hasn't been another 20 minutes just working on the audio file, making it as nice sounding as possible on that awful microphone in Audacity. And I put it in, and they actually got back to me like the same day and brought me in and were super excited. So it was a great experience. They were very nice. I didn't expect it. I thought it was awful. It was my first real attempt to like really push into something that I really wanted to do. So I'm glad that it worked out on the first try. It's pretty great.
No, moving on to Renara, because obviously with you working on different projects, you have a different method of recruitment. So can you kind of explain how you were recruited into Skywind?
Yes, it was back in ye olde time of 2016. No, again, because it was very forum based, it was a case of I just, with my headset mic at 3 a.m. in the morning, just recorded. I had pops, clicks, everything. It was very bad. But I decided that I was going to audition for as many roles as I could, because why not? So I basically went Altmer, Orc, Imperial, Dremora at one point, everything but Dunmer. And then I sort of handed them in. And then the project lead basically went, we like your stuff, but we don't want you to be a high elf. And they're going, oh, okay, cool. We want you to do Dunmer. Oh, okay. You need to push your voice really low, and here are all of the vowel sounds that we need you to speak. Because this was back when they originally, for all of the Dunmer, not just Ashlanders, they were going to have all of the Dunmer speak differently, or like say words differently, but because of Elder Scrolls Online and the public, they had to change that. But it was very much sort of off the cuff, kind of very. But that was me. That was when I first joined. Now it's a lot different in the sense of the what do you call it? Website is updated, and you've got to send through samples and all these things. So it's kind of changed a little bit. But that was me. I just sort of threw my hat in and kind of went, we'll see what happens, and then it was up to them to decide what they liked about my voice. So that was how I got recruited.
Oh, thank you. It's quite despondent between all the different ones. For me, when I got recruited all those years ago, I applied for Cyrodiil, and then 3 months later I heard back from Atmora.
Yeah.
So I didn't even apply for Atmora, but they were like, you fancy it? I was like, all right. So before we move on to the Q&A, I'll get one more of these questions I've got down here. We'll start with you, Trindane. What skills as a voice actor should you have to contribute if you want to join one of our projects?
Well, first of all, I'd like to remind my fellow voice actors to watch the community questions channel on Discord so they can comment as to which ones they want to answer. But aside from that, honestly, I would say to some degree the ability to improv is important, but we pretty much have to lock things down to specific lines because there's lip sync files that go with them and stuff. So you really have to kind of stick to the script as opposed to some other games where you might be able to improvise. But I would say it's like we often say in regular voice acting panels, if you're going to be a voice actor, the more important of those two words is actor rather than being able to do the voices. If you look at the distance across a given country, how radically different the accents can be from a specific area. Don't worry about having to get the accent exactly correct, because over a distance of 20 to 25 miles, those accents can vary pretty significantly. Just, make sure that you can get somewhere within it, and, then, focus more on communicating the emotion that the line is supposed to carry, and you'll do fine.
Right. Kairos, how about you?
I would say I think that taking direction well is a really important skill to have. Be humble and be willing to change your approach to a scene or to a line or what have you, based on what other people tell you. And even if you think you did it perfectly the first time, you might have, but it's great to have options a lot of the time. And I suppose another big thing would be make sure that you're always considering the circumstances under which your character is saying these lines, who you're talking to, what environment you're in. All of those things, these outside factors can really change how you might say a line. And so, voice acting does go a lot deeper than just like, oh, can you do a cool voice? Yeah.
Cool. Sundown, how about you?
So Kairos stole my answer. I definitely, it's okay. Well, the thing is, I've been on both sides of that seat, directing and being the VO, and that is absolutely correct. Is just being happy to work with the other people involved, however you can, is going to go a long way. Just because, it's not always going to go the way you expect it to, or how you maybe even want it to, right at the start. But in the end, generally speaking, the people a lot of the time that are pushing you for those performances they have a vision in mind for what they want, and I can speak to that personally, like I was saying. And going with that vision and keeping everything consistent with what they're like aiming for at the end result is going to pay off big. Because the thing is, if everybody involved adheres to that vision and it's all cohesive, then it's a wonderful end product. So the skill set is, yes, absolutely, definitely, if you can, go take some improv classes and get into it a little bit, but also, practice your people skills and be willing to work with the other people around you as amicably and easily as possible. Be very flexible. That's my opinion.
Awesome. Renara.
Well, everyone has basically said everything that I agree with, and I would have said probably exactly the same things as well, but I will simply try to concisely sum up the big ones that I think for me, which is the one that I've learned a lot, is patience. Because these are huge projects. We've got at least about 200 voice actors on Skywind alone, and it's not just you on this. You've got a huge team of writers, file cutters, project leads, everyone. So have patience with how the project is going, because whilst you can bang out your lines really quickly, done, finished, send them in, and then you will sit for about a month waiting for the file cutters. So have that wherewithal to be patient in that, and to understand that these projects will take a lot of time. This is all to do with, this is done through passion and through love. And I think if you bring up that passion, then it will go a lot smoother and a lot better, and you'll enjoy it more. Adaptability is also super key, as I think Sundown just said, in the sense of this project. I have seen Skywind change multiple times, scripts rewritten. I've had to redo half of my characters once because the scripts had to be rewritten because there was an error. So there's all these sorts of things, and you've got to be able to adapt and flow with the project and not feel so affronted by it. And I think lastly, I'll add is that it's always good to be able to have some introspection in yourself as an actor, but also as a person, because then you'll be able to find just new facets of yourself that you can utilize when you're voice acting. So, and that helps with bringing things to life through context, like learning the context. But if you've got something that you can kind of apply to that, of how did I feel in this moment of something very similar, if you can apply that, then that just elevates your performance to a level that if you can make the listener feel what you're feeling, that is the point. There we go.
And concise. Thank you very much. Well, I'm going to throw the questions over to the community now. We've got some absolutely flaming questions. So I'm going to throw them over to the panel. The first question comes from Fingergun112. What is your favorite kind of character to voice?
Who's going first? I'll go first. I voice a lot of Dumber, but I do really, really love voicing Dumber because they're just so sassy. Or at least the versions of me the ones I'm doing are so sassy, and they just sort of talk as if they're looking like, for me, I've done it where they sort of not look down on you, but it's like, I am me, you are beneath me, slightly, but in a deeper voice. And I just love doing that, and I love having a voice that's not so textured, that you can play with the emotion more. So you're like with Argonian, there's a lot of raspiness, which kind of puts a lot of strain on your voice. So when it's just a low register like this, you've got a lot more wiggle room to play around in. So I think that's my favorite.
Very nice. Anyone else?
Yeah.
I enjoy the more evil side of things.
Nice.
Is that my ex-wife?
It might be. You never know.
Uh-huh.
Karen.
Yeah. I'm also a fan of the lower voices. You know, I'm a big fan of orcs and that kind of thing.
And I also, do a couple of these as well.
Whatever that might be, dragon. I don't know. But Khajiit is always very fun as well. That has always been one of my favorites.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that as well, because one of the other questions is, who's our favorite character? Because I have two. One of which was in Bruma was Dartakto. They were actually both the followers that you could get in Bruma. One, of course, was Dartakto, the Khajiit.
And the other one was an orc named Dumrag. So I like doing both of those.
Very nice, very nice. For me, I usually just have like there's 3 words that I like. I like to play bad guys. Well, that's 2 words. Idiots. Pretty much bad guys, idiots, madmen. That's it. Doesn't matter what range or whatever. If the characters are kind of in those wheelhouses, they're my favorites. What question shall we go next? How about how much character direction comes from the original writing compared to your own input?
I'll jump on this one.
I'll
jump on this one first, because most of the recording that I did was way back in 2014-15, when the Beyond Skyrim crew was much smaller. And generally it was me and Linton sitting in a Skype call with a spreadsheet, and we just went from the top to the bottom. And we streamed a lot of it, honestly. And he directed me while I did all the things. And by the time we finished it, my voice was absolutely shredded from doing combat barks for the last hour, especially orc combat barks, which were just, ugh. But I guess maybe more than others had the benefit of a lot of direction from people.
Cool. Anyone else want to jump onto that?
I will. With Skywind, at the very least, when I first got the scripts through, there wasn't as much direction, at least on the script. So it was very much up to your interpretation. But as the scripts progressed, we started getting levels of how much of a certain emotion needs to be in it. So like in Oblivion, where you have that wheel of like admire, whatnot, and it's like 150 different variations. We have that, which they give us a context in one column, and then they go, how much of a certain emotion is that? Where are we at? Are we at 100%? This person's super, you do not like this person, or 50, they're just an annoyance. 0 is your neutral on them. So we have bits and pieces like that, at least from the voice acting perspective, because there's not so much contact between, or at least on Skywind, between the voice actors and the writing team per se. We do a lot of asking questions through our voice acting lead, who then kind of goes and double checks with the writers, if that makes sense. But a lot of the sort of direction we get is put onto the scripts like that, and I find it quite fun to, whenever I get 101, it's like, yes, I can totally be really angry at this person. I love it.
Anyone else want to jump onto that?
This one's Uberman's question, right?
Yes.
Yes. It's an interesting question. Obviously, you have to have a framework to play in, but in my experience, I guess depending on the person, at least from my perspective, coming up with who the character is and what they should sound like and all of these different things is a lot more on the VO than the director. I mean, obviously the director has an idea of what they want, and the voice actor should definitely like listen to what they want. But developing developing the sound of that character, is what they sound like can be completely different than what words they're saying, right? So you can have somebody that's making a death threat, but depending on what the voice actor knows about the character, their background, what they look like, how big they are, that's going to sound a billion different ways. So you have to take a lot of direction from the writing to get a good starting point. But any voice actor, any actor at all, period, acting, kind of has to take that starting point and grow it like a seed into a beautiful oak tree to really bring the character to life. So it really is 50-50, I think, at the end of the day.
Right, I've got a great question here. It's just coming. Have any of you suffered through self-confidence issues when it comes with acting, or even putting yourself out there for new roles or things?
Every single time.
day.
Has anyone?
Who wants to take it first?
Well, I'll go, because I actually do this in real life, and that was a game changer for me, because I basically the biggest thing that I love doing is yearly in the springtime I participate in a Renaissance festival. So at this Ren Fair, it's kind of unique from any of the other ones in the United States, at least, where we actually have an ensemble cast of about 150 people who, when we step foot on that land, we are the character, period. That's it. For 10 hours a day, every weekend, Saturday, Sunday. So when you're doing that, sometimes you're completely alone, surrounded by a bunch of people wearing t-shirts and gym shorts in 1500s garb. I mean, the concept of that, literally hundreds of people around you that you're messing with or trying to entertain or whatever it might be. It is nerve-wracking, or it can be. But basically, as soon as you put on, at least in my experience, the combat to that nervousness, the nerves that come with any kind of performance, which it always does, no matter what it is, whether it's voice acting or singing, anything, really, that's very normal. That's probably the most normal thing there is when it comes to entertainment. The biggest combative to that is wearing that character that you're going to be like armor and dedicating 200% to it and simply being that character. Because the thing is, if you are taking everything that you've learned and applying it correctly, whether it's through the voicing or in real life, if you are dedicating to the character 250%, then anybody that's laughing at you is probably laughing at something that the character is doing and not laughing at you personally. Anybody that dislikes you is disliking the character. The character is who you are. You left yourself in the car that morning or left yourself in the other room before recording the lines. That criticism and any fear for any concern over that sort of thing, that's all angled at the character that you're portraying. It's not even coming directly at you, is a good way to look at it. And that has, I mean, I don't even get nervous anymore. Like, even when I'm just existing in real life, a lot of the times, like I'm perfectly fine with this, just based on my previous experience. So that's what I have to recommend there, is just look at it as though what you're dealing with is you are slotting your brain into a different body, and that body is going to soak up any bad vibes, and it's going to stay with that body when you go back to your own, right?
Yeah, like, yeah, I'll jump in. Yeah, no, I really 100% agree with that, in the sense of, like, I've taught myself that whatever you put down in the audio, like if you're recording your Destiny, whatever you've recorded, your audio is your product. That is what is being judged, not you. You as a person are not being judged by the person who's asked for audio from you, because that is your product. And once you can separate yourself from that helps taking any rejection or any criticism or anything like that, makes it a lot easier, or what at least I've found. And you get, like, it's that thing of, you just, with self-confidence, I have had emails telling me I'm absolutely rubbish. I have had people try to tear me down, tell me I'm not good enough, all these sorts of things. And every time I just go, nope, they're not saying about me. They're saying it about my audio. And if they are saying it about me, that's just poor reflection on their part at that point. Because that's them that's they've made it personal at that point, and that's not professional in that regard. So I think there's a big thing to say for anyone out there who wants to do voice acting, is that you know your own self-worth. And whilst constructive criticism is always welcome, I love having kind of constructive criticism, which is like, okay, I didn't do well. What could I do to improve? Let me improve. Tell me how I can get better, because I want to get better. But you've got to be able to take that step back and go, if someone's just being mean and spiteful, because in this industry you are going to get people like that. It's a subjective industry, so there are going to be some people who will absolutely hate your voice or your stuff just because they don't like you and things like that. So just always know where you stand in the industry, what your self-worth is, and don't let anyone drag you down just because they're being horrible to you. And I'm going to say that because I've gone through it since I was, like, really young. I've done acting for years, and you get a lot of it, and it's part of the job. So whilst people will say have a thick skin, that doesn't always help. So separate yourself from the product is what I would say, which is basically what Sundown was saying.
And Dane, you had a point you wanted to jump in there as well?
Did I?
It sounds like...
No, it's pretty much what everybody else said as well. Yeah.
Cool. That's a really good question. There's one question here which it's kind of jumping out at me. It's from Stormcrow Projects. Do any of you have a favorite line of dialogue from the Elder Scrolls games? Obviously, I'll take them from the game, or if you've done anything for your project, fire that one as well.
Then pay with your blood. Stop.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much any line from the opening of Skyrim is, just burned into my brain.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I feel weird. Okay,
go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. See, even us voice actors get all flustered sometimes. No. I love Mazoga the Orc. So, like, yes, I'm an orc. I was born under a rock, and I have no parents, so I don't need a family name. I love that line.
Beautiful. Anyone else?
It almost became a meme when when we first recorded it and I were folding it into the game and whatnot. But it was every time I had an orc line that was
Praise Malakath.
and it just, everybody started saying it all the time. And I'd watch people live stream Bruma, and as soon as that would come up, the chat would just fill with Praise Malakath. And I was like, oh my God. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. All right. I guess that's fine.
you also you can't forget scratch that cheese for no one.
Yeah. It
I'm
was.
more of a,
Go
so
ahead.
I'm more about buy Azura, buy Azura, buy
Oh.
Azura.
It's
Oh.
the grand champion. I can't believe it's you standing here next to me.
Or all of Renaud Even Tone's lines. I am so glad that I did not voice that character because I told them, I said, no, I don't sing. Do not ask me to do this. They're like, but he's a terrible singer. I'm like, exactly. So get someone who can sing because they will be able to sing badly, better than I can sing at all. So just do that.
Amazing. What else do we have here? Oh, here's a good one. There's a question from Lacuna of Light. What type of character or emotion is the hardest to portray with just your voice? It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Tricky one.
That's really difficult actually because I think in a weird way for me it's sad, not sadness, but often I end up like merging together sadness and fear. And so trying to, if someone's really afraid, you like it's natural when you're frightened to start crying, but sometimes they don't want it to be tearful. It's got to be you're frightened about something, you're around the corner rather than you're a small child crying, if that makes sense. And I don't know, when I get super scared, I cry, so my natural instinct is to do both. So trying to separate those two out at least for me, I find difficult. But I manage. It works. It's all good.
For me, it's not so much a difficulty in like actually portraying the emotion, but anger, like shouting, is technically annoying sometimes because you so often will peak your mic, and so you have to find these different ways that honestly vary depending on the space you're in and the equipment that you have to sort of be able to yell without actually just completely blowing out your mic. So that occasionally can be annoying. I don't really know though on like character or emotion specifically in terms of just like difficulty. I think it really depends on the character that you're playing and the general vibe that you're trying to go for. There's quite a bit of variation between each role that you'll play, and so certain things that are come really easily to you for one character might be really difficult for another. I know I've never really tried to be I guess sad as an orc before. I'm sure it'll come at some point, but it's never something I've thought about. So maybe it'll be difficult, maybe it won't. Stuff like that.
I've got an esoteric one. I think that it's difficult to portray love or affection just with your voice. That's a very physical or emotive sort of expression. And it's not something that's probably going to come up a lot in something like, Skyrim modding. But, there are things out there, like just in the core game that do come up like that. And I'm sure that there are some pieces tucked away in various places like ESO and Beyond Skyrim and Skywind and all that do reflect two characters being affectionate towards one another. But doing that with just the voice and making it convincing, that is definitely a tricky one. Because it's tricky to do that with a full body, honestly. So just the voice, that's probably got to be at the top of my list. When it comes to the type of character, though, I think the hardest type of character to portray is one that your voice is just not going to be very suited for. I probably couldn't voice a woman, but that's just me talking.
That's exactly what my answer was going to be.
Very good. That's great. It does look like we're going to have to start wrapping up. So before we let you go, I want to say thank you to all the panelists. They have been brilliant. I'm going to ask you one more question. If you can leave any aspiring voice actors a golden nugget of knowledge or wisdom, what would it be? Let's start with Kairos.
Yeah, so I would say make and maintain connections. Who is very important in this industry. So really stay active within your projects, whatever they may be. If it's Beyond Skyrim, if it's Skywind, if it's Skyblivion, if it's another professional job. That, like, it's important to keep yourself in the forefront of the minds of those you're working with, so you might get cast in other things, stuff like that. It's always, people are always going to prioritize working with people they know over someone they don't. It's just kind of a natural human thing to do. So definitely, stay active and talk to people within your projects. That's always important.
Oh, Findane, how about you?
When you make the decision to become a voice actor, or even after that, you have literally decided to become an artist. You are a craftsperson. And any craftsperson who is worth their salt must take good care of their tools if they want them to last. And in our case, that is our voice. As such, take your warm-ups and your cool-downs very, very seriously. Don't overexert yourself. If you know you're going to be doing really, really intense, rough, screaming combat barks in a very gravelly kind of voice or something, make sure that you give yourself time on the back end to cool down and recover and let your voice get back to normal before you schedule any more work. Take care of your tools.
Down, how about you?
Start today if you haven't started already, because every day you wait is another day that you're not doing it. And if you are looking at this sort of thing as like seriously, and not just dreaming, but seriously wanting to do it as a career, don't be afraid to jump on board with a Skyrim mod project to get your feet wet, because things like that end up on a portfolio, and then you can show someone else what you've done, and then that other person is going to see that you have some experience, so you don't jump straight from nothing into voicing like a TV show. But start as soon as possible, and don't let like the lack of the perfect microphone or the perfect setup hinder you from at least trying it out.
Right, and Renara.
I'm going to say the same thing that I tell everyone, and this includes everyone on the panel as well, and including you, Captain Stu. Never give up, no matter how hard it seems to get. Take one step at a time and keep going, because as soon as you quit, you've quit. Keep going. Learn to take rests, learn to look after yourself, but keep going, because you will get to where you want to be. If your dream is to basically voice into a AAA game, you will get there. You just need to, one, be patient with yourself, and two, be patient with your own learning. Everyone learns differently, and your path is not up to anyone else but you. Be patient with yourself. You are not beholden to anyone but yourself. So be a nice boss and take care of yourself. God damn it, because no one else is going to do it. And I'm going to end it with safe travels, Outlanders.
Perfect. Thank you so much. No final words could possibly end the panel. And again, thank you so much, guys, for joining me today. Stay tuned for everyone else with us today on Convention ModCon. We still have our art panel, we still have our fan art contest, and our Skyblivion walkabout. Thank you very much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Safe travels, Outlanders.
There we go.
Right.